Bible in a Year Live, Chronological Project, Week 22, Day 5, The Message. After Ahab died, Moab rebelled against Israel. One day, Ahaziah fell through the balcony railing on the rooftop of his house in Samaria and was injured. He sent messengers off to consult Biayl.Zebub, the god of Ekron. Am I going to recover from this accident? God's angel spoke to Elijah the Tishbite. Up on your feet. Go out and meet the messengers of the king of Samaria with this word. Is it because there's no God in Israel that you're running off to consult Biayl.Zebub, god of Ekron? Here's a message from the God you've tried to bypass. You're not going to get out of that bed you're in. You're as good as dead already. Elijah delivered the message and was gone. The messengers went back. The king said, So why are you back so soon? What's going on? They told him, A man met us and said, Turn around and go back to the king who sent you. Tell him God's message. Is it because there's no God in Israel that you're running off to consult Biayl.Zebub, god of Ekron? You needn't bother. You're not going to get out of that bed you're in. You're as good as dead already. The king said, Tell me more about this man who met you and said these things to you. What was he like? Shaggy, they said, and wearing a leather belt. He said, That has to be Elijah the Tishbite. The king sent a captain with 50 men to Elijah. Meanwhile, Elijah was sitting, big as life, on top of a hill. The captain said, O holy man, king's orders, come down. Elijah answered the captain of the 50, If it's true that I am a holy man, lightning strike you and your 50 men. Out of the blue, lightning struck and incinerated the captain and his 50. The king sent another captain with his 50 men. O holy man, king's orders, come down, and right now. Elijah answered, If it's true that I am a holy man, lightning strike you and your 50 men. Immediately, a divine lightning bolt struck and incinerated the captain and his 50. The king then sent a third captain with his 50 men. For a third time, a captain with his 50 approached Elijah. This one fell on his knees in supplication. O holy man, have respect for my life and the souls of these 50 men. Twice now, lightning from out of the blue has struck and incinerated captains with their 50 men. Please, I beg you, respect my life. The angel of God told Elijah, Go ahead and don't be afraid. Elijah got up and went down with him to the king. Elijah told him, God's word. Because you sent messengers to consult Biayl.Zebub, the god of Ekron, as if there were no God in Israel to whom you could pray, you'll never get out of that bed alive. Already you're as good as dead. And he died, exactly as God's word spoken by Elijah had said. Because Ahaziah had no sons, his brother Joram became the next king. The succession took place in the second year of the reign of Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. The rest of Ahaziah's life is recorded in the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Joram of Israel. Joram, son of Ahab, began his rule over Israel in Samaria in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. He was king for 12 years. In God's sight, he was a bad king, but he wasn't as bad as his father and mother. To his credit, he destroyed the obscene Baal stone that his father had made, but he hung on to the sinful practices of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, the ones that had corrupted Israel for so long. He wasn't about to give them up. King Mesha of Moab raised sheep. He was forced to give the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and another 100,000 rams. When Ahab died, the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. So King Joram set out for Samaria and prepared Israel for war. His first move was to send a message to Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. The king of Moab has rebelled against me. Would you join me and fight him? I'm with you all the way, said Jehoshaphat. My troops are your troops, my horses are your horses. Which route shall we take? Through the badlands of Edom. The king of Israel, the king of Judah, and the king of Edom started out on what proved to be a looping detour. After 7 days, they had run out of water for both army and animals. The king of Israel said, Bad news. God has gotten us 3 kings out of here to dump us into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, Isn't there a prophet of God anywhere around through whom we can consult God? One of the servants of the king of Israel said, Elisha, son of Shaphat, is around somewhere, the one who was Elijah's right-hand man. Jehoshaphat said, Good, a man we can trust. So the three of them, the king of Israel, Jehoshaphat, and the king of Edom, went to meet him. Elisha addressed the king of Israel, "What do you and I have in common? Go consult the puppet prophets of your father and mother." "Never," said the king of Israel. "It's God who has gotten us into this fix, dumping all three of us kings into the hand of Moab." Elisha said, "As God of the angels' armies lives, and before whom I stand ready to serve, if it weren't for the respect I have for Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, I wouldn't give you the time of day. But, considering, bring me a minstrel." When a minstrel played, the power of God came on Elisha. He then said, God's word, "Dig ditches all over this valley. Here's what will happen. You won't hear the wind. You won't see the rain. But this valley is going to fill up with water, and your army and your animals will drink their fill. This is easy for God to do. He will also hand over Moab to you. You will ravage the country, knock out its fortifications, level the key villages, clear-cut the orchards, clog the springs, and litter the cultivated fields with stones." In the morning, it was at the hour of morning sacrifice. The water had arrived, water pouring in from the west, from Edom, a flash flood filling the valley with water. By this time, everyone in Moab had heard that the kings had come up to make war against them. Everyone who was able to handle a sword was called into service and took stand at the border. They were up and ready early in the morning when the sun rose over the water. From where the Moabites stood, the water reflecting the sun looked red like blood. "Blood! Look at the blood!" they said. "The kings must have fought each other. A bloody massacre. Go for the loot, Moab." When Moab entered the camp of Israel, the Israelites were up on their feet, killing Moabites right and left. The Moabites running for their lives, Israelites relentless in pursuit, a slaughter. They leveled the towns, littered the cultivated fields with rocks, clogged the springs, and clear-cut the orchards. Only the capital, Kir-Hareseth, was left intact, and that not for long. It too was surrounded and attacked with thrown and flung rocks. When the king of Moab realized that he was fighting a losing battle, he took 700 swordsmen to hack a corridor past the king of Edom, but they didn't make it. Then he took his son, his firstborn, who would succeed him as king, and sacrificed him on the city wall. That set off furious anger against Israel. Israel pulled back and returned home. Jehoshaphat of Judah. Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, became king of Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 25 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Azubah, daughter of Shilhi. He continued the kind of life characteristics of his father Asa. No detours, no dead ends, pleasing God with his life. But he failed to get rid of the neighborhood sex and religion shrines. People continued to pray and worship at these idolatrous shrines, and he kept on good terms with the king of Israel. The rest of Jehoshaphat's life, his achievements and his battles, is all written in the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. Also, he got rid of the sacred prostitutes left over from the days of his father Asa. Edom was kingless during his reign. A deputy was in charge. Jehoshaphat built ocean-going ships to sail to Ophir for gold, but they never made it. They shipwrecked at Ezion-Geber. During that time, Ahaziah, son of Ahab, proposed a joint shipping venture, but Jehoshaphat wouldn't go in with him. That about sums up Jehoshaphat's reign over Judah. He was 35 years old when he became king and ruled as king in Jerusalem for 25 years. His mother was Azubah, daughter of Shilhi. He continued the kind of life characteristics of his father Asa. No detours, no dead ends, pleasing God with his life. But he failed to get rid of the neighborhood sex and religion shrines. People continued to pray and worship at these idolatrous god shops. The rest of Jehoshaphat's life, from start to finish, is written in the memoirs of Jehu, son of Hanani, which are included in the royal annals of Israel's kings. Later in life, Jehoshaphat formed a trading syndicate with Ahaziah, king of Israel, which was very wrong of him to do. He went in as partners with him to build ocean-going ships to Ezion-Geber to trade with Tarshish. Eleazar, son of Dadavahu of Mareshah, preached against Jehoshaphat's venture. Because you joined forces with Ahaziah, God has shipwrecked your work. The ships were smashed and nothing ever came of the trade partnership. Then Jehoshaphat died and was buried in the family cemetery in the city of David, his ancestor. Jehoram, his son, was the next king. Jehoshaphat died and was buried in the family cemetery in the city of David. Jehoram, his son, was the next king. King Jehoram. Jehoram's brothers were Azariah, Jehiel, Zechariah, Azariah, Michael, and Shephatiah, the sons of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Their father had lavished them with gifts, silver, gold, and other valuables, plus the fortress cities of Judah. But Jehoram was his firstborn son, and he gave him the kingdom of Judah. But when Jehoram had taken over his father's kingdom and had secured his position, he killed all his brothers along with some of the government officials. Jehoram of Judah. In the 5th year of the reign of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, became king. He was 32 years old when he began his rule, and was king for 8 years in Jerusalem. He copied the way of the kings of Israel, marrying into the Ahab family and continuing the Ahab line of sin. From God's point of view, an evil man living an evil life. But despite that, because of his servant David, God was not ready to destroy Judah. He had, after all, promised to keep a lamp burning through David's descendants. During Jehoram's reign, Edom revolted against Judah's rule and set up their own king. Jehoram responded by taking his army of chariots to Zer. Edom surrounded him, but in the middle of the night he and his charioteers broke through the lines and hit Edom hard, but his infantry deserted him. Edom continued in revolt against Judah right up to the present. Even little Libnah revolted at that time. Jehoram was 32 years old when he became king and ruled in Jerusalem for 8 years. He imitated Israel's kings and married into the Ahab dynasty. God considered him an evil man. But despite that, because of his covenant with David, God was not yet ready to destroy the descendants of David. He had, after all, promised to keep a light burning for David and his sons.